This is Eric, and I'm with.
Simon,
And what year are you graduating?
2026.
And what is your major?
I'm a computational math major.
Nice. And for the first part, I know that you're a transfer student. So could you give us a little bit more details about the difference between the from high school jump to college, and then from a communication jump to a college?
Yeah, so right out of high school, transition to a community college was pretty abrupt because I started like a week after I graduated high school, and just the atmosphere and what was expected out of you in community college was very different than in high school. There's a lot more at your own pace, a lot more learning on your own, and that was something to get used to. I did pretty well in community college, so thankfully that wasn't that big of an adjustment. Then I spent a year there before transferring. I came here, and I think from community college to here was probably a bigger difference than high school to community college. Because I had that step in between, it wasn't that bad.
Okay, so I saw the thing you wrote for me. You said that you are in the honors program. Could you give us a little bit more details about the honor program?
Yeah, so when I was in community college, I graduated with honors, and the program there, it had like a 80% transfer rate from UCLA. I think part of that was because you had to have at least a 3.5 there to graduate with it, and I had a 4.0, and I also had some extracurriculars, so all that together made it, I think, pretty easy to get in here from community college. And once I transferred, they let me transfer straight into the honors program here. So I've only taken one honors class so far, but it's been very different here for the honors classes. They're a lot more challenging.
Okay, nice. So you just mentioned there are about 80% of people in your honors program got into UCLA.
I think that was close to the rate of the people that applied.
Could you give us a little bit more details about what kind of extracurriculars you do, like when you transfer from your community college to here?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was wrestling. Wrestling, I was on the team there, so every day I had to go for 2 to 4 hours training, and that was year round. That was from when I started to when I graduated, and just that 4 to 2 hours a day, every day, I think really showed UCLA that I could be disciplined and show up and work. Outside of that, I had done some tutoring, some math tutoring. I had worked as a tutor, I had tutored friends, and I also had some other activities that I think helped. I scuba dived, so I could also show I was good at learning in other ways. I'm a rescue diver, so.
Okay. So you know that the UCLA application, it requires like 20 extracurriculars, including your awards and your work hours, and then some volunteers. Do you, besides the wrestling parts and the tutoring parts, is there anything else you write in your UC application?
Yeah, I mean, I got some awards graduating from Mount Sac with the GPA I did and taking the classes I did, like academic distinction. I could also show some stuff from earlier, from high school, like awards I got, wrestling awards I got in school, AP tests, stuff like that, that I think helped my application.
Oh, you said that like when you're applying in a community college, you can still use the awards from high school.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that like really common for people to do like when they apply?
I think so. If it's you know, relevant enough. If it's something small that you did like your freshman year of high school, I don't think it would be smart to add. But the bigger stuff that happened like senior year, junior year, since it was only a year before, I think that was okay to add, especially because when I was applying, I had only been there for a few months.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So you've been only been coming to college for a year. That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So for people like applying UC applications, they have like been confusing what's the best time for you to start writing your essay. I saw you mention a little bit more in the questionnaire already, but I just wanted you to share about it. Like for you, especially for transfer students, when is the best time to start UC application?
Mm, I think normally they're due October-ish, end of October. So you have to give yourself a month or 2 months to really nail down that essay, write it, and then rewrite it, check it, have someone else read it, write it again. Really get it down so it is what you want to show them.
So from the UC application, you know that we have to write four essays,
Mhm.
and do you remember any of them?
Yeah, I had one where I was talking about being the captain in my high school team and just how I learned to kind of be a leader there. And then I had one about learning how to scuba dive and how doing that you had to really learn under pressure because you're underwater, you're doing skills where you take your gear off, so if you let go you could drown. So there's just a lot of pressure there, and you're trying to learn and adapt. And I wrote about that.
Nice. So um, there's a essay in UC application, especially about the leadership. Do you think leadership is really important in UC application?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they specifically asked for it. Being able to show that in some way you can lead a group and kind of take charge is important.
Nice, thank you. And we're gonna move to the next topic, which is about your college life so far. So could you give us a little bit details about which is the best class you've been taking so far at UCLA?
Yeah, the one honors class I took, which was honors linear algebra, was a really new experience. It
Mhm.
covered more topics than I think I've ever had in a class, especially because it was 10 weeks.
Mhm.
What was expected out of you and the pace that was in that class made it really engaging because you had to pay attention like every minute and work like hours and hours on your own. And just doing that for a whole quarter was really transformative.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mention in my early video before, but you see, like UCLA or any other UCs besides Berkeley is like quarter system.
Mhm.
You think it's like more challenging than when you're in community college or in high school, or it's like better?
I honestly don't like it as much. I think with the quarters, you're really in a time crunch, and there's certain topics that they do work better in the quarters. Like Calc 3 here is 2 quarters, and when I took it in community college, it was one semester. And I think that was worse because it was pretty well paced up until the end, and then they had to cram too much stuff in 5 weeks. And if you have 20 weeks to do that in two exams, two exam weeks, I think that works a lot better. But in general, most of the courses here they're fitting like a 15-week course in 10 weeks. So you're actually doing more if you're taking 3 classes a quarter here, and um, you get the amount of content in the year as you would taking like 4 classes and then 5 classes in a semester, which is okay pace. But I think the way it's structured, you don't really have enough time, and it just kind of feels like you're rushed in your classes.
Yeah, so that's why people will feel like way more struggling
Hmm.
any UCs, I think. So I know that you're a transfer student already. That might not be hard for you to adapt to UCLA's life, but is there still a little bit more challenges when you're trying to adjust like the academic and personal life at UCLA?
Yeah, I mean, at home, since my community college was close enough to where I went to high school, I could still just drive there.
Mhm.
I kept a lot of the same friends, especially friends that went to schools near there, like Cal Poly Pomona, that made it easy to transition socially to community college because I didn't have to make all new friends, and obviously I made new friends there.
Mhm.
And academically, the level there wasn't that far above high school, and the classes I got to that were later on, so it was a pretty smooth transition. Here, though, coming here is my first time moving away from home, and I only knew I think one person here, and he lives pretty far from me. Um, so I've had to make new friends uh, and adjust to living on my own, cooking on my own food. Um, and that's been somewhat difficult. I'm still getting through that.
So, could you give us a little bit more details about your future plan, whether it's like a grad school or like an internship?
Yeah, right now my plan is grad school. So I'm focusing on doing work at other colleges. Applied to some RUs. I got into a study abroad program over the summer at a math institute. Um, so right now the focus is grad school, and then either trying to be a professor or working in finance, trying to be a quant. Um, if I was planning instead to just go straight out of here into a job, I probably would have focused on internships.
Okay, so if you can go back to your community college or your UC application and change one thing, and what would you like to change to make your college application more successful?
Yeah, I mean, in community college, I really tried to, hit every mark and do everything I could. That being said, my application probably would have been helped by adding some sort of mm, stronger leadership opportunity or volunteering more, working in like a homeless shelter or something probably would have helped my application.
So, if you can give some advice to the people who are trying to apply to UCLA or any other colleges, what advice will you give it to them?
I would tell them that they should really try and show UCLA what they're capable of. And if you're not doing that right now, like you think you're capable of so much more, but it's not really shown in your resume. Really try and both write about that, write about what you're capable of and how you show that in your life, and also try and do something that shows that, you know, show them the proof.
Thank you.